1863. Work on a transcontinental railroad had begun, a track initially spanning 690 miles from Sacramento, California to Promontory, Utah. Construction of the railroad was tiresome for white workers. They faced 10 to 12-hour days, having to shovel 20 pounds of rock hundreds of times a day. As a result of the harsh manual labor, many workers quit their jobs, seeking wealth from the gold and silver rush. With little interest from whites in becoming railroad workers, railroad companies were desperate for laborers. They found their solution in Chinese immigrants. Despite the stereotypes surrounding them about being weak and frail, Central Pacific Railroad director Charles Croker saw them as a potential cheap labor source. His efforts led to the formation of a small 21-man team in January of 1864. The team of Chinese laborers proved themselves to be skilled, hardworking people. As a result of this successful experiment, by 1869, approximately 15,000 to 20,000 Chinese had worked on the railroad. By 1867, their forces composed approximately 90% of all railroad workers working on the Transcontinental Railroad. According to a letter written by Leland H. Stanford, founder of Stanford University, to President Andrew Johnson, without them, the Chinese, it would be impossible to complete the western portion of this great national enterprise within the time required by the Acts of Congress. Chinese immigrants were the major workforce contributing to the railroad expansion. It is reported that one team of mostly Chinese people was able to lay 10 miles of track in a single day. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad accelerated the Western economy and transportation. Thanks to the Chinese workforce, such strides were made possible. Discrimination. Being a non-European minority in the United States meant Chinese railroad workers faced frequent discrimination. On the railroads, Chinese were given the most dangerous jobs, having to tunnel and manage explosives. Hundreds of these workers were killed because of explosions, landslides, and unhealthy living conditions. It is reported that oftentimes, abuse towards Chinese workers would become physical. Beatings from hateful white workers was commonplace on the railroads. Chinese laborers were also paid less than white workers, receiving a 30 to 50% reduced wage. Furthermore, Chinese workers were forced to live in tents, no matter the harsh weather conditions outside, while white workers were given accommodations on train cars. In 1867, 3,000 workers went on strike to protest discrimination, but without access to their own food or supplies, the strike went largely unsuccessful. Overall, Chinese workers were marginalized by railroad companies and the government. Despite their invaluable work towards America's development, they were treated as subhuman and omitted from history.